Are you new to this game? Want a good guide to help you out? Well, whether you're a new player or an intermediate one, this will be the only guide you'll have to watch to make the best out of the game. I'm going to be telling various useful tips and information, so watch till the end. You can refer to the description for the timestamps. By the way, I'd recommend you to watch this beginner's guide first, as there are some things I talked about there that I don't want to repeat here. Let's begin. The first and foremost tip I really wish someone had told me as I was just starting out was to pick up everything. I always felt lazy to pick up them, even to the point that I stopped picking up enemy drops too. Do not do this, especially early game, because you will need those materials. Or else ahead in the game you will struggle with lack of resources. Don't be lazy, just pick up everything in sight, no matter how much of it you have. One more important thing I would advise all new players and intermediate players is the free camera rotation. It's fun, no doubt, but it's also useful. For example, if you have it turned off, you wouldn't notice anything here. But if you turn on free camera rotation, you can see this chest. You can turn it on from here. Another important thing is to never keep the voice volume down. It's annoying, I know, but when you pass by a chest unnoticed, the characters have a special voice line about chests that helps you locate them.
Hey! Isn't that a treasure chest?
Definitely useful. Next, most important of all, never ever waste your rubies. Early players won't really know its value and wouldn't care, but if you're a long player you can relate. I've made a 200 plus rubies everyday guide, you can check that out to grind rubies, link in description. The most usual way of just burning rubies is appraisal. So many people waste them on appraisals. Wasting on appraisals is the most dumb way. You should appraise for builds, but there are ways to save them. One of the most common way is trying to get the perfect stats. For example, here I have two 5% crit rate stats. The max you can get is 5.8%, as you can see here. Many people keep appraising the 5% until they get exactly 5.8%, which is a total waste. You should be satisfied with what you get. Here are some of the max stats you can get, if you're aiming for them. And please don't waste appraising equipments you won't need later. For example, right now Inferno is the latest equipment, but I stayed with Glacial, because legendary gear is near and I don't want to waste rubies building both. Be smart. Also, for early game players, please do not waste rubies on buying characters you won't be using. I'll teach you the basics of appraising now, for those of you who don't know. You can go to any blacksmith and click on the appraise button. I'll use this equipment as an example. You can get the 4th stat by going here and imprinting. You can also change the main stat by going to this guy here and reforging. Okay, so when you appraise it requires 2 rubies, giving you random stats. Locking 1 stat and then appraising requires 5 rubies. Locking 2 and appraising requires 10 rubies, and locking 3 and appraising requires 20 rubies. Now, as you can see, I have 2 crit rates maxed out, so I'll lock them. Suppose I don't want crit rate here, and I want on another equipment, make compromises. As you can see, I got 5% skill attack. I can lock this and go for the 4th stat, but if you want 5.8% or some other stat, don't lock it. Now I got another maxed out crit rate stat, and this I definitely want, so I'll lock it in, and go for the 4th stat. When going for the last stat, it takes 20 rubies, so I recommend doing it only up to 5 times. Don't keep on doing it many times and burning rubies as I showed earlier. Instead, use those rubies to get better stats on another equipment. Now that you have learned about appraisals and how to do them, here are some really important tips to keep in mind. First of all, as I said earlier, don't go for the perfect or completely maxed out stats always. A little compromise or 0.8% or so is fine. Secondly, don't burn rubies on the last stat. Instead, use those rubies to get better stats on another equipment. Another mistake which you could make is forgetting to lock your stats. Lastly, think twice before appraising an equipment and be clear what stats you want. As I said, if you're just about to get another equipment, it will be a waste to appraise your current equipment. It would rather be better to get the next equipment tier. That's why I still haven't got an Inferno set, except for the weapon. Use your rubies wisely, and think several times while appraising to make the best use of your rubies. Make the right choices. Also, don't forget to get the 4th stat before appraising, and getting the desired main secondary stat. After doing these two, then accordingly get the sub-stats. But remember, Lapis Wedge and Reforge coupons are limited, so again, choose your equipments wisely. I will be explaining more on what stats to aim for ahead in this video. This is a question most players ask once they reach the point when they can buy new characters. First of all, Chase is already a very great character and I strongly recommend you build him. As for the second character, there are many to choose from, but I recommend 3, Zerav, Edna or Els. These 3 along with Chase are one of the top ones right now, and you should consider building them. Mainly you should go for Zerav if you're already in the volcano area and have unlocked him, because after buying him for 2000 rubies you unlock an event in which you have to find 100 lost souls all around the map, each soul giving 20 rubies. So basically you get your rubies back after buying him. I've already made a video about that, so you can check it out here. Next, Edna is one of the coolest so far. Her burn damage is literally very overpowered. Top priority is Zerav, Edna and Chase, after which you can go for Els too. Louisa, Amy, Clarice and the rest are strong too, but then Louisa has low crowd control, Amy as well, not that powerful compared to the rest although she is a good character to build too. I hope you've gotten a clear idea now on what character to choose from. Now moving on to the most important part of the video, how to build your characters. I won't go into specifics for each character, but I'll guide you enough to make the best build. Firstly, you must read the characters, speciality, stats and what they do, and also their skills and masteries. Some characters such as Edna and Zerav stack damage based on their mana or int, so investing all attribute points in int is the best for them. Other than that, a usual crit build or burst build is focused on dex. These are some of the most common and top builds, but of course, you can experiment with other builds also and go with what works best for you. Normally you would want to go for the SCCS build for every character, which is skill damage, crit rate, crit damage and speciality. These 4 stats must be your top priority, and you should at least get to soft cap on these stats. Soft cap is when these stats turn yellow, as you can see here. Hard cap is when they turn orange, like this. I recommend going only for soft cap. Don't go all on hard cap, because once you reach soft cap, the excess values are halved. 75 to 80% crit rate is good, and the rest should be invested on crit damage. Don't go too much on crit rate, rather do crit damage. Don't forget the skill damage too. I see a lot of new players or even long-time players having a lot of basic attack damage percentage. It's not bad, but mostly you would want to invest those stats on skill damage so as to get the maximum output out of your skills. These are the stats you should focus on. Now you know what equipment to get and what build to do. But what about the accessories? Which ones should you get? You should know by now that there are two sets, Marlene and Marduk. If you don't, you will learn about them now. You get certain equipments by defeating Marlene, and some by defeating Marduk. If you haven't heard these names yet, don't worry, you will encounter them ahead in the story. Marlene's set is like this. And Marduk is like this. I kinda mixed up both the sets, getting two pieces of each so that I can experience both worlds, but if you had to pick one, which would it be? These are the various equipments found in Marlene's set. And these one in Marduk's set. Marlene's set basically curses nearby enemies, causing damage to them and reducing their speed and defense by 5% per stack. This activates every 10 seconds and it has maximum 5 stacks. You just walk towards an enemy and it automatically curses them. This effect only works when you have two pieces of the set. With max 5 stacks you get 25% speed and defense reduction of the enemy. Getting 3 pieces increases it to 7% per stack, which is 35% for 5 stacks. This is just a 10% increase, so I don't really think the third piece is worth getting. Marduk's set on the other hand has a different mechanism. The more hits you do, the more vigor it stacks. When the stack reaches 20, it unleashes a powerful explosion field around the character called Dark Surge, dealing 4000% AoE damage and restores 10% HP. This effect works when you have at least 2 pieces of this set. If you get 3 pieces, the damage increases by 50%, from 4000% to 6000%, which is a huge amount of damage. You already might have guessed which set is the best now, but wait. Don't rush out getting Marduk's set just yet. There's a catch. As I said earlier, Marduk's set deals AoE damage around the character, not around the enemy. So, the character has to be near the enemy. This set is most effective for melee characters, which means characters such as Amy, Els, Zerav, Alistair and Claris. Marlene's set, on the other hand, is suitable for both melee or close combat characters, and ranged characters such as Edna, Chase and Louisa. So, in simple words, get Marduk's set for a melee character and Marlene's set preferably for a ranged character, or even a melee character. Although for melee I strongly recommend Marduk's set only. But why should we even get these sets? Because, they are the best as of now and offer great buffs as I just said. Now you would be clear on what character to get, what equipment and accessory sets to get and how to build them. Now only one thing remains, after which your character will be ready to challenge the toughest of the tough enemies. That's the rune system. I have already talked about the rune system in detail, explaining everything in this video, so you can check it out there. Simply go to the particular timestamp from the description of that video. Link is in description. I don't wanna just increase the video length by repeating stuff and get more watch time. Oh, but in that section of the video I did not explain about legendary runes, so let's get to that. Legendary runes can be crafted from this particular rune smith located near the Mystic Mines. It's quite expensive, but it's totally with it. Legendary runes basically increase your skills' potencies and give them additional buffs. For example, with this rune, Amy can continuously punch. With this one, Edna shoots fireballs out of her flame sigils. And with this, Zerav activates Phantom Strike when dodge button is clicked, with its own separate cooldown. Legendary runes can be placed only on accessories, and each character can only have 2 accessories. So that's 2 legendary runes per character. Read the skill descriptions and find out the runes that are best for your character, and which one will you enjoy the most. See, playing a game is not allowed about building the best and strongest character. Even if you have an averagely built character, as long as you have fun with it, it's good. A game is to enjoy. So go ahead and experiment with the runes and figure out what works out the best. Again, I won't repeat the whole thing again. I've already explained everything in my previous beginner's guide video, so go to that video timestamp and check it out. Now, I'd like to discuss some other little things. The first thing which many new players struggle with is crafting Void, Gale, Glacial, Inferno or any other suck equipment. Let's take an example of Void Sword. You craft an iron sword, but still wonder why you can't make the Void one right. That's because you have to upgrade it. Click on the upgrade button here and upgrade your iron sword to blue rarity. Note that I said upgrade and not enhance. After that, you'll be able to craft your Void Sword. This is just a little thing, but still I see people commenting how to do it. There are a few more other little things such as the weekend hot time buff, healing system, help button and a leveling guide that I discussed in the previous beginner's guide. Do check them out, all links are in the video description. Here's a fun thing that you probably didn't know yet, or haven't tried out. You can change the expressions of your characters, but temporarily, not permanently. You just go to Photomode and change their expression, then exit Photomode. The expression stays as long as the game is open. If you exit the game and reopen, it'll go back to the default expression. Another thing you could possibly do is going and touching this white circle and teleporting to Dano's desert before the story quest. You won't be able to go back to the capital and you'll be stuck there. This bug hasn't been fixed as of the making of this video, version 2.3 of the game. You can check out this dedicated video for more information on it. It's not made by me, but by another great EC tuber for funny memes and stuff. Link in description. Another little useful thing I discovered recently was that if you go here and click your character, it automatically opens up their menu. I know, it's very obvious, but me being a long-time player didn't know this, and it would have saved me a lot of time had I known such a thing. Ever wanted to re-watch the story of Epic Conquest 2? Go to the start menu and click on this button here. This is the cutscene viewer, where you can re-watch the cutscenes. However, do remember that some story parts which required character interactions, such as the one where you protect the old man in Dano's desert, is not included in the cutscene viewer. For that you'll have to watch the walkthroughs and gameplays of it. Lastly, I would really appreciate it if you follow my channel for more such guides, tips, tricks and even gameplays and update news. I also recently started making custom cutscenes, all compiled in this playlist. Link is in description, do check them out. You won't even be able to tell that it's fan-made. You could also consider joining my channel membership to directly support me and my channel growth, and also join my Discord server for Discord-only polls, news and updates. I really put a lot of time and effort into this video, so I would appreciate it if you could at least comment below whether this video was really helpful, so that other people may watch too. Subscribing is up to you, I won't force. It doesn't really matter how many subscribers I have. I just want to reach and help as many players as possible. Thanks for watching. Do like the video if you enjoyed. Until then, see ya.